Welcome to Paladin Financial Talk. I'm your host, Jeff Quick, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host and shaman, Mr. Tony Shore.
How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Great to be here with you today. Thanks for having me on your show. And I don't know about shaman. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, hey, it's a new year. I'll take a new title.
Happy New Year.
I've been called a lot of things. I don't know if shaman is one of them, but now it is, right? I like that. What an intro.
I do what I can.
But it is a great new year, isn't it? We're having a good time so far.
So far, so good. Thrive in 25, Tony. Thrive in 25.
That's the new slogan. Thrive in 25. And I think your partner there at Paladin, Jeff Foley, the two Jeffs, Jeff Quick and Jeff Foley. Jeff Foley is trying to get everybody to say that, right?
That's his new. He is, and he said it so often that I stole it from him. Started to sink in.
Thrive in 25. Yeah. I absolutely love it. Well, Jeff, what are we talking about on the show today?
Well, a couple things to kick off the year. We may as well talk about some potential tax law changes for 2025.
Okay.
Secure Act 2.0 has also made some changes, and then new contribution limits for qualified plans, either employer or individual plans, we're going to cover as well.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, exciting, huh?
Yeah, really exciting. Tax changes. Hey, but if the tax changes affect me and my finances for better or worse, it is important to understand. And that's why you're talking about this today, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. So break down the situation for us.
So a few things are happening. Number one, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act from 2017 scheduled to expire here at the end of 2025. So unless Congress does something, we will revert back to pre-2017 tax laws, tax brackets, deductions decrease quite a bit. I don't believe it's going to happen. Reason being, President-elect Donald Trump enacted the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. I don't think he's going to go and make changes to his own tax cuts.
Yeah. Plus, his party will control all three branches of government. So, if he wants it extended, I think it should probably happen.
It'll probably happen, but you never know. We got to go with what the facts are. And as of right now, they'll revert back unless something happens. So we may as well be prepared for it just in case that comes to fruition.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to be prepared for anything. Nobody has a crystal ball, but like you always say, it's important to have a plan and be prepared, plan for the best, but prepare for the worst. That's what I was trying to come up with. That's a good one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. So a couple things. One, standard deductions are set to decrease. Right. So 2025 standard deduction, and then we'll just talk married couple filing jointly, $30,000. If that reverts back, originally it was $13,000. They would probably adjust that for inflation to some degree, but that's more than a 50% cut, right, in just the standard deduction alone.
Mm-hmm.
Tax brackets will be changing as well. So not only the percentage you pay within the brackets, but the brackets are scheduled to shrink as well. So everybody's going to pay more in income taxes if we do let this Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expire, go up to a 39.6 top tax bracket from what we're at today, which is 37. So a 2.6% increase for those top earners, which could end up being a lot of money for some folks.
Yeah. I would agree. And that's important. Boy, I hope they don't change that standard deduction.
No, that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, that made a huge difference for my wife and I. Yeah. I mean, although, we were good about write-offs, and the only, you take the good with the bad, because the standard deduction is so high, it doesn't, make the deductions, your tax deductions and write-offs, you don't do that. You have to do one or the other, basically.
Yeah, so a lot of people that used to itemize no longer are able to because they increased the standard deduction, which really simplified tax filing for a lot of people. Which, I mean, we all know our tax code is already very simple, right?
77,000 page document, our tax code.
Yeah, unbelievable. So that was the hope of simplifying it. But fewer and fewer people are able to itemize deductions. So that's a big deal. That would come back. We've got the SALT, which is the state and local taxes deduction, would come back, capped at 10,000. But again, with the good, there's some bad as well. A lot of that would be offset by the P's limitation, which has to do with, again, high income earners. So there's a give and a take no matter which direction things end up going.
It's true. There's always give and take, but it will affect a lot of people if that Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is allowed to expire. It changed a lot. I mean, you're naming just a few things, and it really did change a lot, Jeff. And I'm glad you're talking about this. A lot of people don't realize how much that's affected them. Some people do, but the devil is always in the details. And to keep track of these things, that's why I work with Paladin and you, so I don't have to worry about keeping on top of this. And a financial advisor can really help you. And I know you work alongside tax professionals there to help your clients.
Yeah. Well, and it's been 8 years, so people have become used to that higher standard deduction. So people forget what it was like before. So
they do. What about, so we talked a little bit about itemized deductions and how that'll probably come back if that changes. If they allow that to expire, we'll probably go back to a little more complicated process then.
Yeah. It's really just a time to revisit things, make sure you're making proper tax decisions. And if you're worried about it, it may be a great opportunity to accelerate some income in 2025 to make sure we do it at the lower income tax rates and save some of those deductions maybe for 2026 when they do expire, if that's an option for you. So again, consult with your tax professional for advice specific to you.
Yeah. And they can call Paladin and you can help them. And if you don't have a tax professional, I know you work alongside tax professionals, and you can look at the overall picture and at least say, okay, your tax plan moving forward might change, and here's how. So that's really good. Now, before we move on to our next topic of what's changing in 2025, let's let our listeners out there know how they can get a hold of you if they have questions about their situation.
Yeah, I mean, of course, give us a call, 651-842-8406, or you can reach out to us through our website as well at paladinfinancial.com.
All right. Now, we had this thing called the Secure Act 2.0. Love these names because a lot of times what's in the bill is actually the opposite of what it's titled. Like, I like the Inflation Reduction Act. That was my favorite because I think that was a spending bill for like 6.2 trillion or it was a $3 trillion or something. And so what that's going to do is cause inflation, but they called it the Inflation Reduction Act. That's one of my favorite things.
That's a good one.
That is a good one, but there's many.
2.0 is good. It reminds me of the of a movie title escapes me, but what's better than 8-minute abs? 6-minute abs, right? So Secure Act, now we're at Secure Act 2.0. We'll go to 2.76 or something down the road.
Oh, I'm sure, or 3.0. But the thing is, the Secure Act 2.0, I know we talked about it on the show. I think maybe Jeff Foley talked about it when it first was enacted, but it didn't take effect. This is the year when a lot of the things in that bill actually take effect, right?
Yes. There's more things that kick in each and every year, and that'll continue to happen through this bill that was passed. But there's some changes taking place this year. One of the most significant is the new catch-up contribution rules for higher earners. If you're over 50 and earn more than 145,000, now we're not talking about everybody here. Your catch-up contribution to your 401k plans now has to be made into the Roth portion of your 401k.
Okay.
Right? Why do you think they want to do that, Tony?
Because of they want the taxes.
Correct. So all these catch-up contributions now you're going to pay your taxes on immediately instead of deferring them till some point in the distant future.
Right. Yeah. They want their money now.
Correct.
Yeah. Uncle Sam, God bless him. I don't even think he's my real uncle.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. He just wants my money.
It's the hair that gives it away.
It's the That's a good one. But yeah, so the 2.0, so that's the focus there on Ross. What else is new in 2.0 this year?
Yeah, so 2025, 401k, 403b plans, automatic employee enrollment. Now, if you're new to a plan, you change jobs, you're automatically enrolled at 3%, right? And they increase that annually till it gets up to 10%. That happens automatically. Now, you don't have to do it, obviously, as an employee, but now you have to opt out of the plan or opt out of the contributions versus opt in. So it's a way for them to get more people contributing to the plan and help them, have a more successful retirement.
Sure. So what about what else is new? Small businesses.
Yep.
What about small businesses?
Small businesses offering retirement plans can now provide an emergency savings account. So they don't have to do this, but they can add this as an employee benefit, or you can contribute up to $2,500 per year. That could be withdrawn at any point in the future for an emergency. You can see what the emergency situations are. That's all listed out, but it just allows you access to money that's going to need to be used for retirement, hopefully, or if something unforeseen happens, it's a way to get access to that money without paying penalties.
Oh, okay.
So
if you do you know if that if you access that money, do you have to, for an emergency that's approved, do you have to pay taxes on it?
you still have to pay taxes on it because it
Okay.
hasn't been taxed, but
Right.
there's no penalties on that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because with a lot of retirement accounts, if you take any money out before you're 59 and a half,
Correct.
there's penalties.
Yep.
According
10% penalty typically.
10%. Yikes. Yikes. And that's a game changer for financial security because a lot of people need that push to have an emergency fund.
Yes.
And if it can automatically happen and you can take from that money, that's good.
Well, and you can invest it at the same time, right? I mean, you can do this on your own, but again, more of an automated way. It's saving, it's invested, it's hopefully going towards retirement, but worst case scenario, you get access to it.
Yeah, that's a game changer.
Yeah, and a few things. The Roth contributions, employers are starting to implement some of these other changes that can really impact their employees, just improving benefits for everybody, hopefully.
Okay. So what's next on the list? What else is changing in 2025?
Contribution limits. They
Okay.
typically go up almost on an annual basis, but not always. So for 2025, they've increased across the board. 401ks, the new limit is $23,500. So it's a $500 increase from 2024. And then catch-up contributions, those are the same at $7,500. So as an employee, you can put up to $31,000 into your employer-sponsored plan. So that's good, plus whatever you're getting for a match.
Yeah. So those contributions, what we're talking about here is the limit on how much they let you put into a retirement account, like an employer-sponsored plan, like a 401k.
Correct.
Or 403b or
correct.
So on.
Yeah, they even did some more, Tony, $7,500 catch up for those over 50.
Right.
Now, for those that maybe started late and are looking for additional opportunities to save for retirement, if you are 60, 61, 2 or 3 years old and you're involved in a plan, your catch-up contribution limit is $11,250 versus $7,500. So even more money you can put into that plan.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
That is a big deal because if you're over 50 and you realize, hey, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I wasn't contributing at all or enough. When I was 21, I wasn't, and had my first couple full-time jobs, I didn't put anything into my 401k.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, why would I want to do that?
Yeah.
Because nobody was telling me. And boy, now I look back and go, if I had just started putting money in, a couple hundred every month, where I'd be today.
Grow to a lot. But now you know, and hopefully you pass those lessons learned on to your children.
My
right?
My daughter is 21, has a Roth.
Yeah.
So I'm pushing them. So what about IRAs?
Yep. So a few things there. Again, contribution limits did not change. The ranges determining eligibility to make contributions deductible, those have changed a little bit. So contribution, again, $7,000, Roth or traditional, $1,000 catch-up if you're over age 50. HSAs, greatest savings vehicle there is still, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Tax on the contributions.
Yeah,
right?
tax-free.
Tax-free and tax-free withdrawals on the back end.
It's the only IRS designated account that allows you to put in money, pre-tax money, doesn't count toward your taxes. You're not paying taxes on it, and take it out tax-free, and it grows tax-free.
Yes.
So you're not paying taxes on the principal, on the growth, or when you take it out, you never pay taxes on that money. And it's the only account like that. The only caveat is, and you can let it grow and leave it in there. You don't lose it after a year, but you have to have a high deductible healthcare plan through your employer.
Correct.
And you have to have earned income and have an employer to have one and to contribute. But even after you retire, if you loaded money in there that you didn't use, you can use it on your medical expenses in retirement, and it's tax-free.
Correct. Tax deduction on the front end, which is the word I was trying to come up with before, and then tax-free withdrawals, right? So huge opportunity. You will use, I don't care how much money you put in there, you're going to use it during retirement.
Oh, yeah.
You can pay your Medicare premiums with it if you wanted to.
Deductibles,
so always
everything.
Ways to use it, everything, right? So they increased that. So now individuals went from $4,150 up to $4,300, and families went from $8,300 up to $8,550. And if you're over 55, now not 50, like your retirement plans, but 55, you can put in an extra $1,000.
Okay.
On top of that.
HSAs are great. There are some caveats and rules, and the money has to be used when you take it out to be tax-free, to avoid paying taxes on that money for certain medical
qualified healthcare,
but it's pretty inclusive. I mean, my parents, had one, and they were able to use it on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And people who think, well, I'm not going to need extra money for healthcare because I'll have Medicare when I'm in retirement. No, you'll have healthcare costs.
Or use it to pay your premiums. If nothing else, you got to pay those premiums.
Yep.
So if you have the Cadillac of Medicare plans, right, with very little, if any, out-of-pocket expenses, that means you're paying a higher premium.
Right.
So use it to pay your premiums. Either way, you're going to make good use of that HSA savings.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And a lot of people, aren't using it with retirement in mind. They're just using it because they have a family and they have a lot of medical expenses throughout the year, or their prescriptions, things like that.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. That's a good one. Okay, so those are solid increases. What's next? What else do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of wrap things up. I mean, the big thing, Tony, max out your contributions, right? Early in the year, if possible. Time in the market, right? Not timing the market.
Right.
So get it in there early, allow it to start growing right away. If you can't max them out, at least get enough in there to get whatever your employer is matching. Get the match. That's free money. At least do that for yourself. So that's big. If you have additional resources, contribute to a Roth as well. So you have two different accounts you can access depending on your tax situation, taxable or tax-free withdrawals to help you meet some of those maybe unexpected expenses and allow you to really help you control that tax bracket a little bit.
Yeah.
Other thing, income ranges for eligibility, whether or not you can deduct that contribution or not. Keep an eye on those. We have income limits on Roth IRA contributions. So just some things to be aware of. You want to make sure you meet those conditions. And again, just maximize the opportunity to start saving for retirement.
All right. Hey, that sounds great, Jeff. This has been a great discussion. Any parting thoughts for our listeners out there?
Yeah, just stay proactive. These changes are opportunities for you to maximize your plan, whether it's reviewing tax strategies, taking advantage of the Secure Act 2.0. All of these things come into play, your employee benefits. Make sure you're maximizing this. If you have questions, of course, always consult with the financial expert or tax professional to make sure you're really taking advantage of these. But number one, just be proactive. There's no better time to make plans for 25 than there is January, February, March, April. Do it early. Today.
Plan early and plan often, right?
Absolutely.
And save early and save often. So if our listeners out there, Jeff, want to get a hold of you or the Paladin team
Yep.
and set up that consultation, how can they do that?
Yeah. Again, give us a call, 651-842-8406, or reach out to us via our website at paladinfinancial.com.
All right. Sounds great, Jeff. And listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Paladin Financial Talk.